Hey everyone, welcome back to the Shatterproof Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Reeb, and today we have a very special guest joining us, someone who's not only an expert in the financial world and the investing world, but also a friend of mine in the show, Jennifer Falloon. Jennifer is a leader, an owner at Vorsa Investments. She brings a wealth of knowledge when it comes to helping entrepreneurs find passive income. And so we're going to discuss all that today and how she integrates her faith into her business. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Scott, thank you so much for this opportunity. I got to present at your Shatterproof conference, which was phenomenal. I hope to always be a speaker at your conference. It was so well put together and with so much value. So if anybody gets a chance to go to the Shatterproof conference or the mastermind in February, I highly recommend you do so.
Wow, thank you. I didn't even pay you for that.
I know, right? I'll send you my bill.
Yeah, we've got, so we have, we're going to Atlanta in February, the 26th, and we're going to do a mastermind on the leadership of Truett Cathy. We're going to go backstage at Chick-fil-A headquarters and learn how they do all that great stuff they do. And then we're going to come back, unpack it. I'm bringing one of my best friends, Dean Briggs, who is a pastor, author, and leadership expert, and he's going to help us go through it. Jen and Eric are signed up. Several other people are. There are a few seats left, and we'd love to have you guys. So, hey, thanks for bringing that up. That made that easy.
Yeah, no, I really believe in what you're doing and highly recommend people join. And so you have a group. I know this is supposed to be about me, but I just find so much value in what you provide. So, and without that value, I wouldn't be as far ahead today as I am. So, you have a group, the Shatterproof
Room. Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't think we've ever talked about that on the show. We have a coaching group called the Shatterproof Room. It's bi-weekly coaching calls because I think weekly coaching calls are too much. It's too much to keep up with. There's too much homework in between, and bi-weekly is a good rhythm. And we had a call last week, and we only had 2 people show up. And it was awesome. Jen was one of the people that showed, and that's fine. It was really cool. We had a good time with Lloyd, the other person that showed up, and he shared some stuff with us that I don't think he would have shared if everyone else would have been on there. He was very transparent about a big goal of his, where he's wanting to do some mission work full time in about 3 years and get it. It's like, how do I get my business ready to do that? And so we had that discussion. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. And so if anyone wants to be in the Shatterproof Room, then just reach out to me and here on the show, and we'll connect you with that. But it's a time where you can get feedback on what you're doing, ask questions of me. We have other people on there that also have life and business experience that can pour into that from their perspective. It's a really valuable tool. I'm glad that you think so too.
Oh, absolutely. It was like a mini mastermind, right? Where we just got to share our ideas, and that's what you need in a community, right? If you want to grow, you have to be around people that are able to help you grow, right? And then to get to grow together as a group like that, it's just special, right? And you just bond. And now, when those relationships are made, the trust is built. So when you do need somebody to come and walk beside you in business and life, right? Then those are your people.
Yeah, because business and life for us as owners, is it's all one thing. So let's kind of pivot back to you. You are Vorsa Investments, you and Eric, but tell us kind of who you are and what you do, and we'll get into some of your background as well. But you guys have a really cool company, and I want the audience to know what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are a multifamily and commercial acquisition and syndication company. So what that means is we buy commercial properties all over the United States, and then we syndicate to purchase those properties with the down payment and rehab money. And what that means is we are always on the lookout for busy professionals that want to own real estate, but they don't want to be the landlords, right? So they want that consistent passive income. They want to, have their money in hard assets that are always going to appreciate. But at the same time, while they are appreciating because they're real estate, because they're commercial, we also get to share in the depreciation. So there's a K1. So there's tax benefits to that. And then there's that back end payout, which we pretty much close to, if not double, the dividend returns of all of our investors. So that's pretty much our goal, is to make sure everybody's money gets doubled at the end of a deal.
So yeah, so in layman's terms, whatever you put in, your goal is for them to double that.
Yes. Or
Yeah.
pretty darn close to it. But we
Yeah.
do underwrite conservatively.
Yeah.
So maybe on paper, it doesn't look like we've doubled the money. But at the end, if we've truly done a good job and nothing crazy or traumatic has happened, then yes, all that back end money, all that padded money goes to the back end and the money is doubled.
Yeah, and you don't just, I mean, it's not like you just do one thing either. Because I know that you've done big apartment complexes, you've done like RV type stuff, and so your opportunities are diverse. So which I think is important. You're not just doing one thing. So if one part of the market were to collapse, it would affect everything you guys are doing. I think it's really cool, and then I love the passive income side of it, because the way that I work, so much of what I do is dependent on my time and talent, and so it's nice. It's nice to have the thought of there's something going on that I'm not having to work daily on to generate a future return. And so I'm sure people are listening, thinking that sounds interesting. So, how did you get started doing passive investing?
Well, this was not ever my passion. Real estate has always been my husband's passion. And for years, we have house hacked our houses. So we've bought them, out of bankruptcy and lived in them. We've bought them out of foreclosure and lived in them. So we really just house hacked, which I didn't realize at the time was, real estate investing. We also bought some tax liens, which is something my husband wanted to do. But
Yeah.
it really wasn't until 2016 when we moved to San Antonio that my husband was like, we have to do this. San Antonio is such a hot market. And he bought VIP tickets to learn how to do investments. And at the same time that was going on, my son was accepted into special forces of the Navy. It's like the baby Navy SEALs. And 2 weeks before he was going to ship out, him and 12 other contracts were cut. So for the next 16 months, we were struggling to get him into another branch of the military. And for whatever reason, it was God, right? Didn't know it at the time. It just seemed like horrible luck that we could not get him into any of the military branches, special services or otherwise. And one day he came downstairs and he said, I just want to let you know that if I don't get in this time, that I'm going to commit suicide. And he said, and I'm not saying this, I'm telling you this. So if you don't have life insurance, I need you to get it. And I need you to not cremate me. I don't want to be cremated. And I was just, I lost my mind, right? And then he walks out of the room, like nothing happened. And so as a parent, of course I lost my mind, and I was like, he has to do this. And I don't even know, we had done everything to try to get him into the service, and I just didn't know what else to do. But as it would happen, my boss would not let me off that 3 days to go to that real estate event that we paid for VIP tickets. We paid thousands of dollars for these tickets. Somebody was going. And so I told Cameron, I'm like, pack your bags. You're going to learn about real estate investing. And he was like, that sounds awful. And I said, yeah, too bad. And I shipped him off to this event. And by the end of the first day, he was blowing up my phone at work. And he was like, Mom, this is my purpose. This is what we're going to do as a family. And he said, we're going to help people who are getting ready to go through pre-foreclosure. And we're going to stop that process. We're going to find them clean, safe, affordable housing. We'll fix their house up, flip it, make money. So everybody wins. And I said, okay. So I quit my job and him and I went into business together, and it was great. And it was wonderful. But in 2018, 2019, 2020, we had some 40,000 people a week moving into San Antonio.
Yeah.
So there wasn't clean, safe, affordable housing to put our pre-foreclosure people. and I didn't know what to do. So I thought, I just need 14 units. I just need a 14 unit complex to put my pre-foreclosure people. And I was invited to a multifamily boot camp, and I went and I said, yep, this is it. This is what we're supposed to be doing. And so I went to that boot camp in July. I said, I have to absolutely go to the next boot camp. When is it? And they said, it's in October. And we're not doing it again for another 2 years. Ooh. So we were supposed to go to Jamaica that October. And we literally canceled our vacation to go to this boot camp. And it was one of those things where we had to make a decision. What's more important, our future or playing?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. And I mean, yeah. And then I've just been talking with you. Your son has just taken off in business, and he wasn't, it wasn't exaggeration that he found his purpose.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And he loves life. And I said, it was probably for the best. And it was God's, right? It's like, we can plan all we want.
Yeah.
And be careful telling God what you're going to do, because we've learned that lesson.
Yep.
And I said, Kim, you can't tell God, like, this is what I'm going to do. Yes, it was your passion. Yes, from the time he was 5, everything he owned was military camo. But you can't tell God, right? And here we've got to pour into people, right? And help them, right? And it was our ministry.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of real estate investors that don't see it that way, right? They just see it as it's just transactions and dollars. That's what makes you guys different, is that you see it as a ministry to help people who are in a tough spot and having to transition, and you try to make that easier for them. That's really nice. At the same time, now you've found a way to include others in what you're doing, and so now you're creating these passive income opportunities. So you went from your 14 unit apartment complex, I guess, to something bigger.
Well, yeah. So we never got 14 units. My very first apartment complex was 324 units. So, and I needed that, right? Because I was thinking too small. And I think as entrepreneurs, we do that way more often than we should, right? We think way too small, because like 324 units, that was a $30 million deal. I had never raised money before in my life. I had never done an apartment complex. Like who is I to raise, it was, we raised the down payments. It was like $12 million. I'm like,
that's all.
I've never raised anything like that. But yeah, and it was fantastic, because now I ate the elephant in one bite. So now everything else seems like a ridiculous low amount to raise, right? Like I did the big thing right out the gate. So now doing all the little things are so much easier.
So I'm going to remind you of that in the future when you're having to raise money. Hey there, it's Scott Reed, cutting in for a quick moment. If you're enjoying the podcast and finding value in our discussions, you're going to love the Access Plan. It's designed for entrepreneurs like you, offering unlimited legal advice without the worry of high hourly fees. With the Access Plan, you can get the legal support you need at a flat monthly rate, so you can focus on growing your business with confidence. Head over to reblaw.com/access to learn more and join Access now and get busy shatterproofing your business. Now let's get back to our amazing guest. I hope y'all were listening and taking some notes, but you got to be careful in business not to think too small. I think that we all guard ourselves about thinking too big because we don't want to disappoint ourselves. But a lot of times in business, it's just as easy or maybe a little bit harder to go big. And the rewards are much, much greater. So make sure you're not thinking too small about what God's given you. We serve a really big God that can do big things. So don't limit him by putting limits on what you think you can do. That's pretty powerful, Jen.
Yeah, no, it was, it was 100% God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes, we, like you said, we see this really straight path somewhere, and sometimes the path just isn't straight, and we may still end up there. And sometimes he completely changes the destination, and when you get to there, you can usually see why. Sometimes you can't, but this time we can definitely see why. That's a huge turnaround, and I mean, and you hate to think what could have happened if he'd have forced that square peg into that round hole and got himself over in special forces. So, I mean, every time God's way is better. So just make sure that it's like find out what God's doing and get in the middle of it instead of asking God to get in the middle of what you're doing. Generally seems to work out better. Well, so you've got a family business because now Eric's full time in your business too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what's that like? Sounds like it could be a lot of fun, but I'm guessing it's challenging too.
Yeah. So just so the audience knows, by trade, my husband is a CPA. For the last 26 years, he has been comptroller or CFO of car dealerships all over the nation. And so kind of a big deal and very, very good at what he does. And the money he made was astronomical. However, October of last year of 2023, he had an eye stroke. And from all the stress that, being the CFO of car dealerships will do. And the doctor was like, this is your warning, right? Like the big one is coming if you don't change everything. And I have been begging my husband for 5 years to please step out in faith and run our business, right? Because I'm not the numbers person, right? I don't do the underwriting. I just raise money, right? I just get paid to party and make friends. And that's my role. I don't do any of the back end systems. And I certainly can't underwrite or analyze deals. And so it was really hard for us to grow because he's working 60, 70 hours a week. And then here I am like, can you look at these deals? Can you underwrite? Can you analyze? And it was just too much. And so we were forced to, partner with other people that could do the underwriting. And that's just not how we designed our business. And so I was like, this is it. You have to step out in faith. It was a beautiful transition that our mentors really needed a CFO. And so he went to work for them, worked for them for 5 months, and then he was kind of done with that.
Yeah.
And got to come in with us. And so I did ask him to take a month sabbatical to just rest, right? And clear his mind and just relax for once in his life in 26 years. He made it 3 weeks. So I was proud of him. And after week 3, he underwrote this deal. He found the deal, contacted the broker. So we're in a deal now. And it won't matter once you listen to this. But the important thing is he found this deal on his own, underwrote it. And now here we are getting ready to, close it up. And so it just really validated that we're in the right space, that leap of faith, right? Like it's okay to take that leap of faith. This is what he's supposed to be doing. And, now he's hustling for deals.
Yeah. So how do you turn it off? So with business, it's all family pretty much. When you go home, go on vacation, how do you separate personal time from business time?
Yeah, we have no problem with that typically. Because we love, like, this is the first time we've really got to be full time together. And you had asked, how is it working out? And at first I was nervous. I was like, he was just spending too much time in my space.
Yep.
And I was like, you have to get your own space. And he's got to, we're renting a house right now. We just transitioned back to Missouri. And so he was able to have his own office and got to design it how he wanted and set it up how he wanted. So he was really excited about that. And now I hardly ever see him. Like I have to text him and be like, can you help me? Can you do this? Can you do that? Cause he's in his little office cave, but no, we have no problem turning it off either because we value this time that we now get to have together. We have 7 grandchildren and 1 on the way. We have no problem when they want Mimi and Pawpaw to turn it off. And we were there, and yeah, and at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, we go do stuff. It's fall in Missouri right now. There are festivals all weekend, every weekend. And so we have no problem turning that off to, go play.
Yeah, when I called you a few weeks back, I guess I was on my road to San Antonio, and we were talking, and you guys were doing something I thought was really cool. You were in Dodge City, Kansas,
Yeah.
and you were not there for work. You were there for fun,
Mhm.
looking at all the historical things to see in Dodge City. So that sounded really cool. That's cool that you guys you make the time to do that, because I'm sure in your business, work's never done. There's always something to do.
Right. No. Yeah.
Same with me. And I just, at some point, if you want to have a quality family life, you've just got to say, this is enough for today. It'll wait till tomorrow, and put it down, and then focus on what really matters, because our businesses will come and go. But your family is where it really matters. So, I encourage you listeners to, make sure, there's some nights you have to work at night. I get it. I have to also, but make sure you're focusing on the main thing and spending time with your family, whether that's your spouse, your kids, your parents. I have aging parents. I want to make sure that we're spending time, where we can. It sounds like you guys do a pretty good job of balancing. I think we talked on the show before. I don't really think there's work-life balance. I think it's just balancing. You're just constantly balancing, and you have to kind of take stock of where am I spending my time now? Am I in the right place? And if not, then you shift, and then you have to shift back, and it's just a constant kind of steering of the ship to make sure that you're balancing and putting the right things first.
Yeah. And it's very important to me that he thinks this job is fun, because the last thing I want
Yes.
him to do is to leave a stressful job,
Yeah.
and have the fear of a stroke to, come to work and then still be under stress and have that fear of stroke, heart attack.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want it to be fun for him. I don't
So you guys
want it to be
take time
stressful.
off. Are you also building your business on systems and things like that to try to make
Oh,
things?
absolutely. So that was the beautiful thing about him getting to work with our mentor, is he got to see exactly what our systems should look like.
Okay.
What are our back end books supposed to look like? So, he got to build that out. And yeah, everything runs on systems now. We actually have an operations manager. She really runs our show, right? And she's really the boss. We do what she tells us to do.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
great.
wonderful. And she's very good at what she does. And so, yeah, now it's just like on to the next deal. And then when this deal is done, on to the next deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's our goal to just have one deal a quarter.
Okay. And so we've talked about God generally. We've talked about how you help people, which is awesome. But this show is all about how our faith in Christ intersects with business. So tell me a little bit about your faith background, and how that kind of affects what you do.
Yeah, it affects us all in every aspect, right? I told you the story about my son,
Hmm.
right? That was God's intervention 100%.
Hmm.
And we have seen God move in our business in so many ways. I think, we only have like 30 minutes, but I mean, I could talk all day about all the things that should not have happened that happened. Rooms, how did we even end up in this random room? And we were there, right? And people we should not have met, we met, right? And so it's littered with God's fingerprints all over our business. And my husband and I both grew up in very Christian households. He's lived it way better than I have, right? Like I was I was a wild child. I was a wild child, incredibly rebellious spirit, right? To this day, that I really have to control it, right?
Yeah.
And that's a whole God story too, right? But yeah, so I've always grown up a Christian. I've always been a Christian, even though I haven't acted like it or lived like it.
Yeah.
But the belief was always there, right? I've never doubted the existence of God.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then when I was probably about 32. I just said I was just in a horrible situation. I had been 6 years as a single mom. Didn't think I was going to live through it. And I finally just one day just broke and I just hit my knees and I just started praying. And I was just like, I can't live like this anymore. And it's my fault. Like I take full responsibility for all of it. I have lived this sinful life. I've done everything wrong. But if you don't step in and do something, like I'm going to, I'm not going to make it out of this. And right away, I heard God's voice, not audibly, but like in my heart say, everything changes. And we're going to start by, you're going to enroll in school, and you're going to leave this life that you've lived behind, and I did. I enrolled in school and, yeah, not that was the end all be all, right? But it really changed my mindset. And I kept thinking about like these guys that I was dating, right? And I was like, I had a type. Boy, I had a type. And I was like, how do I break that chain, right? Like, what do I do? And so I just started praying and I wrote out everything that I wanted in a man, which was opposite of everything that I had been dating. And I prayed over this list and I was like, God, I know I'm asking a lot, right? And here's the thing, okay, caveat, ask a lot of God, right? He wants to give you a lot. Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask for a lot. And I was, one, afraid to ask for a lot, and two, felt unworthy to ask for anything after the life I had lived for 6 years. And so I'm praying over this list and I'm like, God, I know this is a lot. And if you can't make this happen, laughable, please just help me to be able to do it on my own. Help me to quit struggling. And I had a great job, which was my saving grace. But it just was never enough. And I said, if there is not a man to compliment me, then just help me to do it on my own. And Eric walked in the door. And then I was like, no, God, not him. I knew, he was the CFO and a numbers guy. And I thought I would be bored to death with this guy. He was so polar opposite of what I've been used to dating. And 15 years later, actually 16 years, we'll be married 15 years in February. He has been so exciting, not boring at all. He was everything that I wanted on that list. Everything. He has been an incredible husband. He was an amazing dad to my kids. And we have a blended family. And from day one, they have loved each other and spent time together and lived life together. Our little babies were only 6 and 4. They've grown up together. Wow. Right. And it's been a beautiful life. And and then this was a man that complimented. He was, I don't want to say a better Christian, but kind of he was, right? So, but church was important to him. Being in small group was important to him. Reading our Bibles together was important to him. And so it just really matured my faith and grew my faith. And we got to, really build our relationship on a Christ-centered foundation, which is so important. And we got to raise our kids together, as Christ-centered parents.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. Thanks for sharing that story with us. Well, let's shift back a little bit to business before we close. So we've talked about how you help people, how there's opportunities for passive investing, and a lot of people might be hearing that and not really understand what the benefits of passive investing are. So I don't want to close the show without making sure that's clear. So you find a huge apartment complex deal, for instance, and then there's a down payment that has to come from somewhere, and so you are looking for us, the business owners out there who have extra cash that we're not using in our business, to give that to you to be part of that deal. In return, we are a part owner of that property. What are the benefits of that?
Yeah, so all the benefits of ownership without having to worry about tenants and toilets. So you do get, so for us, our business, we accrue, you get an interest dividend, right? So whether that's 6, 7, 8%, it's all deal dependent. But the very least is likely going to be 6%. It's not worth it even to us otherwise, right? So we accrue the interest monthly, but we pay out quarterly. So you get a quarterly distribution. However, we do monthly statements, right? So every month, everybody is, and we're very transparent, right? So we're giving you the bank statements, we're giving you the P&L accounts, and just whether it's good, bad, ugly, indifferent, we're sending out an email that this is what happened this month, right? So every month you're getting communication, you're getting a distribution payout every quarter. Every March, everybody gets a K1, which offsets the profits that you've made. And then we hold these properties 3 to 5 years, and then we cash everybody out. So everybody will obviously get their initial investment plus their, in 6%, 7%, 8%, and then another back end payout, like a back end bonus, which is what, doubles the dividend payouts.
Okay. And so part of the depreciation comes through that K1, is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, we're not tax people. So you have to talk to your tax advisor on how that helps you. But it definitely can help you. And it seems like a good alternative to traditional investing for small business owners, for sure. So thanks for kind of walking us through the basics of a deal. If someone's interested in learning more about about Vorsa and how they could participate, where would they go?
VorsaInvestments.com, super easy, is really the best way. And then you can learn our bios are on there. Our past, present deals are on there. The accreditation form. So if you are really serious, on there, it should be a little pop-up, or contact us. There is the accreditation form, which is SEC regulated. So it's just an expression of interest. It is in no way a contractual obligation. So, but it lets us know that, yes, you're interested. And, it just opens that door of communication, right? And we do ask, like, what do you think you would invest? That way we know what to plan for. And then, so after that, it's just pass or play. Like, Scott, we have a RV park coming up. Do you want to pass or play? And if you pass, there's no hard feelings, right? We just put you back at the bottom of the list until, the next deal. And then you're somewhere in that. Do you want to pass or play? So, you always get that option.
No, that's a cool way to do it and think about it. That's awesome. Well, one last segment I want to do with you. It's kind of a rapid fire questions. What's one book on finance or leadership you recommend?
Oh my gosh. Anything written by Sean Callaghy. Fantastic. He has a whole book series. In fact, it's sitting right here next to me. It is fantastic. And they're small. They're tiny little, super fast reads.
Okay. I love that. What's a daily habit that helps you stay focused on your financial goals?
Oh my gosh, my financial goals. Well, we audit our books daily. We audit all of our accounts daily. And so, getting to see those numbers grow as they should, keeps me focused.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
Invest in multifamily real estate.
Okay, that's great. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. I knew it would be. It's always fun to be with you. If you're looking for a speaker, have Jen come. She's awesome. She was really great at my boot camp and will be at others. So as we close, Jen, I want to offer you a blessing. Like I said, you're an incredible leader, and now I get to count you as a friend. I'm grateful for your wisdom you've shared. May God continue to guide you in your work, bless you with insight, discernment, and peace as you help others build financial futures rooted in wisdom and integrity. Blessings to you, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed this as much as I have. If you found some value in it, like it, subscribe, ask us some questions, make some comments. And until next week, stay Shatterproof. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. While I'm your host, Scott Reed, and a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer, and this podcast does not establish an attorney-client relationship. The views expressed by my guests are their own and not mine, and they may not even reflect the opinion of the Shatterproof Entrepreneur podcast. So we strive to provide valuable and accurate content, but we make no representations as to the accuracy, completeness, or suitability of any information to your particular situation, and won't be liable for any errors or omissions for the application of them. Always consult a professional or in the respective area that we've discussed before making any personal or business decisions.